Hello, good evening, good day, and to everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Mancunian Way. I'm your host, Patrick, and it's another episode of Blues Down Under, episode number 12. Dirty Dozen is upon us. I hope everybody out there is doing well. Just joined by a combination of familiar faces and not so familiar faces. Firstly, I'll start with the Vinto kid himself, Rich. Happy Wednesday, mate. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, well, I'm loving the fact that it's been taking me back to my childhood. We've had Mancunian weather in Sydney for the last month. It's the wettest August in history, and it seems to be drizzle or rain every single day. Seems to be dark at 4:30, and I'm back living my childhood again, except there's no Kipax.
No. You are sort of living in the moment, aren't you, at the moment? Because you want to tell people what you're having for dinner.
Porridge. I've got a bowl of porridge here. I had 5 minutes or 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, in his defence, he only had 10 minutes from conference calls to getting on the show. So if it's going to be a bowl of porridge, then so be it. You know, if you at least put a bit of cinnamon in there or something there, just give it a bit of flavour. Or honey, or a bit of honey.
Salt and sugar. Old school. And then I've got my Vinto. My flask is Vinto. I feel like I'm not sure if I feel
warm or cold.
Yeah, cold.
Cold.
I'm not sure if I feel fit. If I feel 12 years old again, or I feel about 65. But one of them.
And of course, some of you may have seen a slightly unfamiliar face on the Mancunian Way here live, but you certainly would know him if you engage with Governor 66 on the in the chats every stream. You know him as Governor 66, but as of the last 5 minutes, and according to the Australian government, he is known as Mark. So pleasure to finally meet you. Pleasure to have you on the show, mate. Reason we've got you on, just before we do an intro, mate, just want to let everybody know before we introduce you, mate. Just want to let everybody know that obviously with this show, we try to engage with as many City fans from this part of the world, both Australia, New Zealand, and even parts of Asia to an extent. So Mark lives in Australia, so he'll tell everything about what he's been up to both here in Australia and where he's originally from, Manchester and that. And we'll give you the full story. But as I said, Mark's an example of like the sort of people we'd love to have on here on a regular, and he'll tell you a lot about his city story and his Australian story. So go for your life, mate. Yeah, let's tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I came over here in 99. So I've been here 26 years. Yeah, 25 years.
Pre-Wembley or post-Wembley?
Pardon?
Pre-Wembley or post-Wembley, mate?
Post, is it? Post, I think.
So you came over after Wembley.
I don't remember much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm from Moston, that way, in Manchester.
Yep.
And I'm like Alan, I'm like the old school. I moved to Melbourne. I was in Melbourne first, near the Yarra Valley. Alan will know it well. I moved up to Queensland. So for the sea change, never looked back. So yeah, it's nice here at the moment. I know you're getting the rain. We get the rain sort of in the afternoon and at night. So, but it's nice days in in the day. But other than that,
I know what you mean, Mark, because I've got family who live up in Bundaberg, and they can. I know Melbourne's known for being 4 seasons in one day, but central North Queensland is the sort of place you can end up with about 3 thunderstorms before lunchtime. It can be very unpredictable depending what time of year you're there.
Funny enough, we got the old it's the first time it's ever happened earthquake alert on the phone, and a couple of seconds later we had a 5.3. I've never known. I've never been in a house shaking. But yeah.
So where exactly where are you in Queensland now?
Harvey Bay.
Nice.
The whale capital of the world.
Yeah, that's near Great Keppel, isn't it? That's where you go to.
It's Fraser Coast, Fraser Island.
Yeah, Fraser.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I believe, from what I remember from my geography classes, was still the largest sand island in the world, I believe. Fraser Island.
Correct. That's correct, yeah. So, yeah, I'm just a stone's throw, Fraser Island, yeah. So, Harvey Bay is just like a little resort, so regional resort, but it's beautiful. But like everywhere else, it's growing and growing.
Yeah. How'd you cope with the summer there? Because I must admit, I'm down in Sydney, which isn't so bad.
I love it. I love the heat, mate. Love
it. And that humidity. I
love it, mate. It is a bit much in the summer, but I don't mind it. I love it.
Yeah.
When I stepped off the plane in Melbourne, when I first came over, it was raining. I thought, I want my money back. It's followed me, the rain. But yeah, ever since then, it's been okay. Yeah. I miss Melbourne. It's okay, Melbourne. I love it. But up here is better.
You said you lived in the Yarra Valley. Is that sort of like inland, like around Coldstream?
Yes, I was in Murrelbach.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, because I know Coldstream well because I've done a few trips out to Domain Shandon.
The wineries.
The wineries, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, beautiful country around there, yeah.
That's right, yeah. And Murrelbach, I used to play for Murrelbach, which is a British club. So that was a good setup there. Yeah, so it was nice down there.
Yeah.
The Dandenongs is where the Yarra Valley is.
That's right, yeah.
Dandenong Ranges.
Yeah. No, I've done a couple of day trips out that way. I went to Shandon, and there's the Four Pillars Gin, I think it's called, is out there too. You got that gin distillery as well.
Yeah, that's out there now.
Yeah. So you look working for Qantas. So I'm very lucky where I can actually do those sort of things in a day. And I've done a couple of those to like celebrate like a birthday with workmates and things like that. And it's just fantastic, just beautiful
Rochford
country.
wines all down there. Loads of wineries down there.
Yeah, it's just beautiful parts of the world, mate. Well, I'll tell you what, you went from one lovely part to another lovely part. So I mean, Central Queensland, for anybody who doesn't know, I mean, to them, like a bad day is like partly cloudy and maybe just under 20 degrees. So
we're sort of southeast Queensland, really.
Yeah. You're about a third of the way up the coast, aren't you? From like all the way up to from Brisbane. Like,
probably.
Brisbane's in the south. Yeah, you're probably about a third of the way up. Yeah.
Yeah. We're 2.5 hours from Brisbane. Sunny coast. We're 4 hours to Brisbane.
Yeah, and you're starting to get the saying the crocs are starting to reach Hervey Bay now because the population of crocs has gone up by about 10 times.
Yeah,
the crocs are moving slowly south, and they're talking now. Crocs sighted not far north of the Sunshine Coast.
That's right. Yeah,
and the
warmer's getting warmer, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah, and then the best thing which I absolutely love is with the Olympics coming to Brisbane in 6-7 years. The Olympic rowing is going to be on a river that has salties
full of crocs.
How good is that? You don't want to.
I can't believe that. Can't
Imagine
believe
someone misses out on goal because they hit their oar on a croc's head. I mean, it's a boat crashes and
someone
on TV.
Do you know what?
What about they celebrate? What about if
Might
they
make it
celebrate
fast.
goals and jump in the water?
Yeah.
Do you know, actually, Rich, do you know what? That would be such an Australian thing to do in an Olympics. But the problem is that we've already had the most Australian thing happen in Olympics, and it happened on an ice rink in Salt Lake City about 23 years ago.
That's right. Yeah.
If anybody remembers it, if you ever want to get an understanding of what we're talking about, look up Stephen Bradbury, Salt Lake City, 2002. It is the greatest, most Australian thing you've ever seen in the history of sports ever. Like the way in which this guy wins a gold medal is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's the most Australian way you could ever win anything as well.
He never looked back after that, did he?
Oh, it was unbelievable.
The Tottenham Hotspur. It's like Tottenham Hotspur winning the Europa League.
Yeah. It was a Stephen Bradbury of football.
16th place.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good analogy to put it as. Just a big up to everybody as well who's in the chat. I will post as many of your comments as I can, just to keep everybody up to date. My computer is still screwed. I'm still using my phone. So if anybody's ever used StreamYard before, it is a little bit difficult trying to post comments on a small screen. And also I've got bloody chubby ass fingers too. So I will do my best. Anybody who I don't get around to, I will. My apologies. But just be just a little bit of understanding and patience is much appreciated. Guys, thought we'd just quickly close on the weekend that just passed. Obviously, we've said what we needed to say, but I thought, a few days to settle after that game, if there was anything else you wanted to add. But, I think it's safe to say that we can take from this match against Wolves a lot of positives out of the game than negatives, that's for sure. But, for me, I just think is there anything you took out of that you may show a little bit of concerns against Spurs? Because I think I know we're going to be in for bigger challenges. I'm sure we'll be able to talk about that a bit more in Thursday night chat. But I just wanted to see, seeing as we're crossing halfway through the week, the focus has to go towards Spurs a little bit now. And I wonder if there's anything you might consider that we saw from the weekend that might be a little bit of a problem up against this Thomas Frank side, this new Spurs side, because I've got to admit they did look good against Burnley, albeit they're in probably a similar situation to what we were. Burnley aren't exactly the strongest team at the moment, newly promoted, so that it probably was a good opportunity for them to play a good game. But is there anything that you thought about may concern you with them coming to the Etihad? I might start with you first, Mike, actually, because you're Richie Dogs.
It's going to be a test. I think Thomas Frank is not going to be gun-ho like they were. I reckon there's going to be... He'll still attack, but I reckon the defending will be better, the low block. And that's why we need people like Cherky just to break it down. I think he's got the defence sorted now, Thomas Frank. And that's where I think this is going to be a test. Nothing like Wolves. It's going to be a good test, this. And we'll see how they work it out.
Yeah, Mark, do you see it as though Thomas Frank has always had his Brentford side set up well against us whenever we played? Do you think this might be a little bit more of a concern, because I think he's probably got a bit more resources at his disposal, quote unquote, because you've got a bit, let's be honest, Tottenham are a stronger side. On their best day, they're always going to be a stronger side than Brentford. You think this is a very sensible manager who knows what he's doing with the squad that he has at his disposal. So I think we've got to play a little bit of not cause for concern, but be a lot more caution. Throw a little bit more caution to the wind and everything when we play against these guys over the weekend.
Yeah. I think it's as well the counter attack as well. We've got to watch.
Which
they
is
might
always
defend,
the first thing.
But the counter.
Yeah. That was always going to be a thing, though. Yeah.
We have to be careful not to overestimate it. The Paris side, when they played them, had been back 5 days in training, and Tottenham had played 6 or 7 pre-season matches. So everyone said, well, they held the best team in the world to 2-2, but they held the best team in the world who'd just been on holiday for 3.5 weeks and had been back for 5 days. And, Burnley, with respect to Burnley at home is a lot easier than Wolves away. They're a team coming up from the Championship. They've lost the talismanic goalkeeper and a couple of other players, and they're finding their way back. So it, whilst Kudus particularly looked really good and Richarlison looked good, they were playing at home against a newly promoted team. He lost a number of players. So I don't think, we should be getting carried away by how good they are. What will be true about Frank, though, is he'll change up on the opposition. So whereas Tottenham played the same way under Ange against everyone, if they're up against PSG or Liverpool, they'd play the same way as if they're up against Cheltenham Town. I think Frank at Brentford has always changed to the opponent. So we won't really know what team we're going to be up against.
It's something you respect about Frank, isn't it, Rich? Because he's not afraid to change his dynamic.
Yeah. And you can afford to do that it's very easy to do that at Brentford, where you've got players who are going to work their, tush off for you and are happy to accept that they can go up against teams and, if they can get a 0-0 draw, that's brilliant. It's not necessarily going to always go down well with Spurs fans if they, decide to play a really kind of negative defensive game, because I don't think, Spurs fans, a bit stuck in 1986, a lot of them, and don't really like the fact that Spurs ever play anyone not attempting to beat them and not playing good football. So, Frank will have a challenge trying to do the same thing with a club who see themselves as one of the biggest clubs in the country versus doing that with Brentford, who know that there's, all those clubs bigger, better resourced, star players. So it's going to be fascinating to see. I think the one thing we'll have to do is, I suspect we might not see Rico or Nunes at right back on Saturday. I think we might see a proper defender at right back, because I think he'll probably realise that putting Rico up against whether it's Kudus or whoever is going to be a tough job. And whilst Bob will press brilliantly in front of him, and assuming Bob gets the game again, I think we might see change there. And I don't know about Phil, Guardiola, whether any of the players, Rodri, whether any of those are going to be back in contention for half a game or more. But I think we'll need to be a bit more prepared to defend a bit more.
I think the battle will be midfield. If we win that midfield, I think we'll do all right. I think it's the midfield. I think it's more important.
Yeah, I think if we win the midfield battle, we're halfway there to a win. So
that's right. Yeah.
I'm confident about the game. I think we need to just make sure that we defend as well, because all the talk since Wolves has been going forward. But I think for me, the biggest change I noticed was the absolute discipline of the offside trap, which was pulled against Wolves 3 or 4 times brilliantly, in a way which we didn't do. And maybe that's getting Stones and Diaz back together, because our best team in recent years has been when those two playing together. They're both leaders and they're both organised. And I think just seeing Stones back in the team, the variety and the speed of us going forward is just light years apart when Stones plays. Because Diaz and Akanji just knocking it side to side. Stones is putting diagonal balls, he's putting forward balls, he's putting crosses. He's actually giving the opposition something to think about, and that makes such a difference from centre-back. And that enabled so many other people to play. That enabled Reinders to play. It enabled, Nico Gonzalez to play. It enabled Bernardo, and those three were fantastic. Bernardo rolled back the years. He was everywhere. At his
sometimes he was
best.
deeper than the centre backs, picking the ball.
Nelly Lux thinks we should swap out Bernardo for Choki or Foden.
No,
until Rodri's back playing again, I don't know. I just prefer that extra recovery at the back when you need it.
We need a leader as well, and Bernardo is a leader. And he's the think we said it before. He's about the only shithouse we've got left at the. Rodri can be, but we don't have that many shithouses. And Bernardo,
I think Cherky will become one. I think Cherky will become one eventually.
Yeah, a different kind of one though.
He's like a Padawan. He's like a Padawan shithouse at the moment.
Bernardo's the best at it.
Yeah. And Bernardo will go, he'll go face to face with anyone. He'll square up to anyone. He'll run everywhere. So I'd be definitely sticking with that midfield from last week. If Cherky was going to play, I'd be, consider if he was going to play, he'd probably be more likely in place of Doku or something. And, we'd have to, maybe that might mean resting Bob, though. I don't know. But I think it's more likely to be Cherky instead of Bob if we were to do that. I don't think
Bernardo got my respect. That when we had to give Liverpool the guard of honour and everyone was clapping and Bernardo was there with a cup of coffee. It was brilliant.
And then he walks off halfway through.
That was my best part. That was respect.
He's got a point though, because he did say the other week that it's just something that they don't do outside of English football.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand where he's coming from in a way. And how often do you hear players say that they're embarrassed by it? So
that's not
both when they have to do it, both when they have to do it and when they're the recipient.
Yeah, but let's be honest, he was doing it because he hates Scousers, not because of any foreign
it's
thing.
the same.
Most of the rest of the team come from foreign leagues as well.
Yeah. It's the same with the Christmas, isn't it? They're used to having a break, and we're not at Christmas.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They have to get used to that. But I mean, we've lost the New Year's Day one now, really, haven't we? So they get a bit of a break there.
Yeah.
Was it Christmas, New Year's Day, or Christmas Day? I can't remember now.
No, they're still playing. They're still playing Boxing Day.
It's one of them, isn't it?
In fact, last year they had, or was it the year before? They had Christmas.
No, it was
Eve.
New Year's Day, wasn't it? They don't play.
Boxing Day was always.
They always play Boxing Day. They're still. That's always
I think it was New Year because remember there used to be a lot of sore heads going to that game. I always remember that.
Yeah. But they tend to spread the games over a lot more days now. So, there's been a couple of years where City haven't had a Boxing Day game because they played on the 23rd and then they played on the 27th or 28th.
Yeah.
But I always love Boxing Day. I think one of my favourite ever matches, you might remember it, Mark, we beat Liverpool 1-0 in about 86, roundabout, and Clive Wilson got the winner. Yeah. And that was prime Liverpool, but best team in Europe they were, and they could have scored about 5, but I remember being a kid on the Kipax. Clive Wilson got the winner. We won 1-0, and it was the best Boxing Day ever. He was.
I don't have I mean, I used to go home and away religious, and obviously it stops. And you know what? It was sod's law, really, because when I came over here, that's when they started winning stuff. And they won nothing for years. Yeah. Well, it's going home and away.
Same here. I mean, I moved in 2002, so we'd just got promoted. My last game actually before moving was, you might remember it, Wolves away, and we were playing whether Keegan were going to win the title, but Wolves were about 2 points above us, but we had about 3 games in hand, and West Brom were about 10 points behind Wolves, and we beat Wolves, and then Wolves lost another couple of games, and West Brom overtook them, and City won with 100 points or whatever, but West Brom overtook.
Was that Stuart? That was Stuart Pearce's last season at City, wasn't it?
No, it's Kevin Keegan.
I was trying didn't Stuart Pearce retire or something? Playing.
Yeah, no, he was. I'm just trying to think. Was he?
You've got me on there.
Was he with Keegan or was Pearce, or was he when we came up under Royal? I can't. I always forget, but it was.
I can't remember.
It was when we'd been up and we'd come down, and we were going up under Keegan for the second time in 3 years, because we went up under Royal, got relegated, and went back up again. But I always forget whether that was the season Pearce played or whether he played in the season 2 years. But it must have been then, because he went on into coaching and then
I
management.
mean, he was still playing
Keegan.
up until he was about
So I think-
39, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was there that season, but it was Bernabeu and Berkovic, and
good day.
Paul Butler got sent off for Wolves, who was a massive City fan. He got sent off for playing for Wolves against City, which basically sealed us the title. Happy days, but yeah.
Like I said, we don't want to go into too much about Tottenham because, Martin, otherwise we won't have much to say on Thursday night chat. But just anything else that caught your attention this week, guys? Obviously, the news came out. It looks like Ferran Soriano, of all people, has been blocking the potential move of Savinho to Spurs. There is talk about them possibly trying to come in for another bid. Remains to be seen. We'll see what happens. But I don't know. Is there anything to you that you don't like, or maybe you do like about this? I mean, to me, I'll just quickly say I have my 2 cents before you guys go on. But I just get this feeling that Daniel Levy is just going to do what we expect of Daniel Levy, where, yes, they're showing ambition to try and sign this player, but deep down that Daniel Levy's going to try and, make the payments over 20 years and throw maybe a few free NFL tickets in for next season or something for the London series. So is there anything you need to add about it? Because I, as a business side of it, I don't mind the idea of Savio going. Football-wise, I don't know if I want to. But also, too, of all places, Tottenham, I'm still a little bit, I'm not saying I'm bitter about it, but you just know that he's not going to drive, he's not going to make it easy. Even as a buying team, he's not going to make it easy.
I mean, it's not like the Isak situation, but is it going to make him more awkward coming back and playing? Because Spurs have turned his head, haven't they? So, is it going to be awkward him coming back? Because he's still training and that, but he's training at home, isn't he? Or is he training with the lads? I don't know.
No, he's been injured. He got an injury against Palermo allegedly, so he hasn't been training full stop. I don't think.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if they've turned his head, but it's a bit awkward him coming back. You know what Pep's like? If you don't want to play, just go.
Makes you wonder if maybe Ancelotti or someone over at the Brazilian football has said, we're not sure if you're going to get the game time ahead of Bob. You may need to look at going to a club where you're going to get some minutes. Well, despite the fact that he played over 3,000 minutes last season.
I think this is going to be the same for all these players for countries now. They want game time. So there's going to be a few dummies thrown out the pram. Do you know what I mean?
I honestly, I don't think it'll be an issue at all. Him coming back, he's not done anything wrong. He's not agitated.
Yeah, true.
An offer's come in, and he's
definitely not doing an Isak.
He said he'll listen to it. And to be honest with you, an offer comes in, why wouldn't you listen to it? I mean, it makes sense. And I think the problem with Levy is that, City don't need to sell Savinho. We don't want to sell Savinho. There's been no intent to sell Savinho. So, Levy can play his games and we can just ignore him and go on planning the season.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I actually think, I was thinking about last night is actually all the talk's been, we need Savinho because we want Rodrigo. Rodrigo's crystal clear he wants to play on the left. So I don't actually think in terms of the squad makeup, replacing Savinho with Rodrigo makes sense. Replacing Doku with Rodrigo makes sense because there's no point in having, Marmoush, Doku and Rodrigo fighting for, a place on the left and then having Bob, I guess maybe Foden and Cherky, with him on the other side. But Rodrigo's been pretty clear from everything he wants to play on the left. And he would be a step up at the moment on Doku, but I think that doesn't mean you need shot of Savinho to do that. You might need shot of Savinho because you don't want to have a senior player missing out in Europe. But if, for example, Kovacic, Gundo, Ortega, Edison, and Akanji all went, we would have potentially a slot available. So, as for Levy, just ignore him. I mean, if he wants to play a silly game, he just doesn't get his player. And
I think he should show his character. He should be fighting for his place. Not because Bob's having a good game and he thinks he's not going to get in. He's got to fight for his place. And I wouldn't mind seeing him on the left. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I think it's LB and he carries on about it. I wouldn't mind seeing him on there, but Mamouche can come inside, whatever. But he should be fighting for his place. Show a bit of character.
It makes you wonder too, because like I think Savinho got a little bit of a bit of luck on his side last season, because obviously he never really had to compete with Bob last season because he was out for pretty much the majority of it. But if anything, knowing that Oscar Bob's going to come back and knowing the quality of player that he is, wouldn't that actually drive you to try and be better? Because we've always said we always play at our best. One, obviously when nobody's injured, but number two, when you've got players competing for the same spot, that's when we play good football, because the next player's ready to go straight away.
They're on it. Do you know what I mean? They're on it. Yeah.
Looking at the flip side, though, say you're Savio, you've got no intent of leaving, you're planning on staying at City. These rumours start up, and then you're reading and you're hearing that City are open to accepting a bid for you. This could be driven from the City side, not the Savinho side. If City look like they're going to accept, then the player's going to think, well, why would they accept a bid for me? I'm not that important. Why hasn't City come out and denied straight away I'm for sale? Because I guarantee if someone came and was saying, doing the same for some of the other players in the team, City would probably have messages out to the press that we're not selling this person in a million years the next day. So it works both ways. It could be that, Savinho's, edging for a move, but it could be Savinho's been unsettled by the fact City haven't quashed it.
Just hopefully he's got good people around him as well that don't,
Yeah. It's hard to judge though, because he's so like Gabriel Jesus. He always looks concerned. You know how Jesus, even when he scored 4 goals, I remember I went back a few years ago and he scored 4 goals against Watford, but he still looked concerned. He still had that look of a naughty 5-year-old on his face.
That's what I always said about. That's what I always said about Jesus, and I suppose Savinho falls in that category. Maybe it's a Brazilian thing, but no matter how much abuse he may receive from match-going fans, no matter how much abuse he may receive online, it'll be like water off a duck's back to him, because there is no bigger critic of those two players than themselves.
Yeah,
they always played like the biggest critic ever was always going to be themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to remember they are young. You know what I mean? They are still young, but it's the way it is.
And he's Rodrigo's an absolute class player, but Savinho's 4 years younger, and there's no reason that Savinho couldn't become. He did an XG and goals and assists for Girona that's up there with anything Rodrigo's done. So he's clearly a very good player. I think just probably needs a little bit of tactical work, and every player seems to be better a year after joining for Pep. I mean, look at Gonzalez. Gonzalez looked by far the best performance he's done, but he's had 6 months with Pep now, so he's had so much learning time to get that right. I think Cherky's going to take 6 to 8 months before he's really playing a lot, because I think positioning and defensively, he's going to be a bit of a project for Pep. I think he'll be coming off the bench and doing magic, but how many really big games he'll be trusted to start early on, it'll be interesting to see.
I can see him only starting cup matches. I can only see him starting cup matches, to be honest.
Yeah, he's an impact player, isn't he?
Yeah. Until he's learned how to be part of the press. And to be honest, he showed in the Club World Cup a bit of pressing, and I think he's definitely going to learn that. But we're just going to have to figure out how to, when he's on the pitch, I guess it'll be how to make him centre offensively. But when we're pressing or defending, maybe he's going to need to be out in a less vital position, maybe on their fullback or something, because he's not a player who's going to be running back like Bernardo and doing all that.
I think with Pep, we never know what team he's going to put out, but it'll depend on what team we are playing that weekend, whether he puts him in or as an impact player. Just depends who we're playing. you were playing the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal, we're going to play the big guns, right? You know, are you going to hold them back? Like, every team's going to be different. I'd like we've said, everyone says, you know, a good solid defence wins you the Premier League. But I don't think we're going to get that. I think there's going to be swap and changes.
Yeah, I think though when you know, assuming there's no more injuries, probably talking November time when Rodri's really back, then he'll be more likely to risk a player who's better offensively and slightly weaker defensively, like a Cherky instead of a Bernardo when Rodri's back. But I think till Rodri's back, he's going to be, he's going to be a little more reticent. And I think also, if you play Cherky on the right, you'd be a bit nervous, with Cherky and Lewis or Cherky and Nunes defensively if someone really went at you on that side. So, you might be thinking, I'd love to see Kusanov played at right back in a game or two, because some people say he can't play right back. I don't see there's anything in his game why he couldn't play right back, why he, couldn't give us that pace in defence that Walker gave us. And his passing, I'd almost like to see him at right back before he gets to go at centre back, because I think it's less risky in terms of, really learning the game if he plays, learning the City way.
Rich, which
I think the game he did play right back, he did okay.
The right centre. Sorry, Mark. I was just going to say would you prefer Kusanov as a right back, or do you think he'd play better as a right-sided centre back in a back three?
For now, yeah. Well, for me,
centre-back,
they're effectively the same thing in a way, because if you let Nuri go and really push up, a lot of the game you'll be playing with three centre-backs and he'll be the right of the back three. But when you're really defending, he can be a right back and, Nuri's back at left back. But I'd like to see that tried almost before, because I don't see, I mean, I'll curse it and he'll get injured tomorrow, but I don't see, if he's fit in a big game, why we're not going to start John Stones every game. That's, we're going to have to pick one game a week, no 3 games a week for Stones.
No,
he's
a 7 day man. 7-day man.
Craig
David footballer, 7 days.
We're away at Barcelona next Wednesday. Therefore, he doesn't play the Premier League games either side. Or we've got Arsenal at home in the league. He gets rested for Europe. But we want Stones in all our big games, because he's the best defender, one of the best players. I mean, he was in 23 one of the best players in the world. Yeah,
I'd just play him. I'd play him until he gets injured. Just keep playing him. Yeah, he's our best centre back.
We overplayed him last year.
I'd want him into the ground.
We all know what's going to happen now, gentlemen. We know what's going to happen. Yeah. He's going to have a blinder against Spurs, a blinder against Brighton, go to England, get injured, and then he won't be ready he'll be injured for the derby.
I want him fit for the derby above anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I mean, next three games, 3 Saturdays or whatever he can play, I think. Yeah. We just need to be smart, like we were with Vinny in 18-19 and 17-18. We got a bit more from Vinny than we had the few years before, because we let him train in the right way for him, and then we played him a bit more sparingly.
Yeah. And it's the same with the cup matches. I don't think Rodri should be playing in them. Like, save him.
Yeah. I think till the new year, Rodri, again, playing in the big games.
That's right.
If you've got, cup games, even easy European games, give Rodri a rest. And the more Nico plays as well, the better he'll be, the better settled he'll be. Because I do think there's a world in really big games late in the Champions League where, Rodri and Nico play in the same side. Maybe Reinders almost pushes up into an 8-10, and you have, Nico and Rodri together. Because I think Nico can play.
Posner Pete agrees with you.
Yeah. No, I think I'd like to see it. I mean, we'll see whether we do.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, we've got Carabao coming up at the start of, well, sort of like middle of next month anyway. So it's not too long before you could possibly do a little bit of experimentation. So yeah,
because I like the thing with Kuzanov in the team. He's got real pace, and you know, the one thing that we've suffered from is, you know, since Walker's, you know, not been prime Walker, is we've had no one to sprint back and strong enough to get the ball off a fast opposition forward who's got the defence. And I think Kuzanov can do that. But I wouldn't be ready to put him ahead of Guardiola, Stones, or Diaz at centre back yet.
Of all the current centre backs we have at the moment, Rich, and Mark, you can answer this as well too. Of all those, because I think we're on agreement that on his day, John Stones is probably the best centre back in the Premier League. Certainly the best ball playing centre back in English football. Who do you think currently, out of all the defenders we've got, that includes everyone on loan, who do you think is the most likely, well, not like for like, but the most likely you would see as maybe a future potential ball playing centre back who can drift into midfield positions, who can distribute the ball, who can move around, pass and move all the time, do the sorts of things as a defender that John Stones does, which in essence basically makes him a number 4 who plays like a number 10. Who would you say it would be? Well, yeah, who do you think could possibly fill that role?
Right now or for the future?
For the future, like, so let's say we're a few years ahead. Let's say John Stones is already gone, he's retired.
I think Victor Reyes is in the same mold as Stones myself.
I was just about that's what I was going to mention.
But definitely. Don't underestimate Guardiola. Don't underestimate Guardiola's ability with the ball. You know, he can do. Yeah, he.
But
can
Guardiola's
do that.
already established, though, isn't he?
Yeah. But he's Guardiola's absolute class. I mean, he's a Rolls.
He's established.
Player. Yeah.
But
perhaps a bit less calm than Stones because he's less experienced.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, from that small sample size we saw of Victor Hayes last season, he did look like a player who looked very comfortable in the ball, despite the fact that he'd just gone from, you know, playing limited games in his home country to then playing limited games on the other side of the Atlantic in a country who doesn't speak English. Completely different football, completely different manager. But there's just a lot of things that I take, a lot of promising things that I take from Victor Hayes, both the way what he did since we signed him in January, and also the professionalism that he showed as a 19-year-old, making that decision of like, I know where my position stands in this squad, and basically putting his hand up. Probably before the clubs even asked him, like, what do you want to do? He's just said, no, put me on loan. I know what my role is right now. I know where I stand in this. I want to give myself every opportunity to get into the Brazilian squad for United States next year. And he's just basically made that initiative. Now, for a 19-year-old to do that, that speaks huge volumes to me for a player. You know, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, if that player's already making those decisions in his career, I can't wait to see when he's 25 making those decisions for us in the Champions League semi-final or something like that.
Got to look after him.
I think
it just shows wisdom beyond his years, basically. Yeah,
I think it's a great loan for Echeverri as well. I think that's going to Leverkusen is a great move for Echeverri. I think it's great to go to the German league. I think he's got a chance of playing because they've lost quite a few attacking players. And you know,
under 10 Hag though, Rich. Although let's be honest, that's more of a Rags thing than 10 Hag.
But I think at the moment we've got four players in Jumabara at Nice, Victor Hayes at Girona. We'll have Echeverri at Bayer, and then we'll have Naipan at Middlesbrough. Now, all four of those next season, you know, let's hope he's fit and he gets renewed. But John Stones' contract's up. I think Akanji, he'll probably be gone this summer, but I think Ake's contract comes up. Gundogan's contract's up. Bernardo's. So there's potentially four really senior players who go there, and we've got four players who play in their positions, auditioning for that. So if any of those nail their place, they play regularly, they do really well, they're coming back as, you know, free signings next summer to replace experienced players that will roll on. And I think
you might get an academy player on the fringe as well.
Yeah. So, you know, if we can get, even if only two of them do brilliantly, that's two positions filled next summer when players change. So I think that's really good thinking. And I'm definitely going to make the effort to find out where I can watch some of these leagues. I know that if we started from Middlesbrough on being TV, I'd definitely be interested to see Naipan, because that's
you need
I want to watch Girona.
Rich.
I want to watch Girona.
Yeah,
Victor Hayes, I really do.
Girona, yeah. So I think there'll be a bit of watching that, and I'm intrigued. And
you need the magic stick, Rich. You get all the games.
The way we're going, we might all be supporting Norway at the World Cup. If they've got Naipan, Bob, and Haaland, City might be central attacking wise to a Norway team. And if Odegaard gets his form back, you're starting to see. And I think there was a Norwegian top scorer in La Liga the year before last. So you're starting to look at a team offensively with quite a bit of talent there. So been a long time since we've seen them at a World Cup. I'm trying to remember when I have seen them at a World Cup, but watch out for that.
I mean, because I can't stand these international breaks, but it's the same for everyone else. So we can't really moan about it, but every team's got players in it, so it's one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah,
obviously,
to be honest,
obviously Spain are going to play Rodri. I don't want them to, but
yeah, I mean, we might actually. It might be useful to us as long as they don't get injured. We're 3 weeks behind a lot of other clubs in terms of pre-season because we had that gap.
To be honest, we start a lot of seasons like that.
We had 2 weeks gap. So actually, for some of our players, they'll be happy that they're going off and getting football because they need matches in them. Where they won't want it is players like Stones and Bernardo who've got so many miles under their, in their legs. They'll probably be a bit nervous about them, but.
I think it was a bit of a godsend as well coming out early, because I think Chelsea, they're going to get leggy because they've not really had a break, and I think they're going to get leggy through the season. I think it's going to catch up with them.
They've got a young team though. The one thing in their favour is they've got one of the youngest teams in the Premier League. So a lot of those players are 22, so they'll probably handle it a bit better than.
Yeah.
And then there's the other one we've got to think about is the AFCON, because that's January, isn't it, this year? So we've
got Aït-Nouri, haven't we? Marmoush.
Yeah,
Aït-Nouri, Marmoush.
Yeah, we just have to hope that Salah doesn't retire from Egypt, but I would have thought he wouldn't want to. I would have thought he'd be wanting to win something big with Egypt. So.
I think the AFCON and the World Cup will probably be his swan song for Egypt.
Yeah, I think I think he's historically, I don't think he's been great. Certainly the last AFCON, he missed about 6 weeks afterwards and agitated to leave the club. It wasn't a good season for him. So I think
he's been lucky with injuries, really, hasn't he, Salah?
Yeah, well, he looks after himself. I don't think there's. He looks after. He's like Ronaldo. He just looks after himself. He is so fit and lean, and he doesn't drink. He doesn't. He's probably it's probably a lesson to a lot of footballers. If you really, Jack Grealish could do with a bit of learning from Salah. Salah really looks after himself, and he still looks. He doesn't look. What is he now? 33. He doesn't look 33.
No. I'll tell you what. If there was one player that I'll be really concerned about if I was a fan of Arsenal, would be Bukayo Saka. I think when you think of all the workload that he's had over the last few years, and the way that Arteta has severely overused him in a lot of seasons, and I suppose there's a bit of an argument. Maybe Arsenal fans will have a bit of an argument about, well, if we didn't have him, then we wouldn't have given us such a close run in for so many years and so many league titles. But sooner or later, it's like. That's why great teams have great players, is because you have players that can compete with them or compete against them as well too. And when you've got someone who isn't in a position to compete against a player like Bukayo Saka, then you're just going to put him in there every single game. You're not going to worry. The man management kind of goes out the door. The way the minutes are managed goes out the door too. So the fact that he eventually got that injury they had last season, and then they tried to rush him back, and now he's going to want to play even more minutes this season because it's obviously a World Cup year. I think they're walking a bit of a tight. I think they're walking a bit of a tightrope with him, because it comes to a point of where it's like, how do you balance his minutes? Because sooner or later he's going to be at a position where he'll have an injury as a result of a burnout, not because of something that happens through unfortunate circumstances, like just bad challenge or whatever. But at the same time, he'll want to play because he wants to get selected for the England squad. So if there's a player that looking at it from a neutral perspective, if there's any player you want to be concerned about in terms of what's going to happen with them this season, in terms of their workload and everything, I'd be really concerned about Bukayo Saka.
You know one thing, Bernardo's played more than 10 games a season more than him every one of the last 4 seasons. Saka's not played 50 games in a season. I don't think Bernardo's played less than 50 games in a season. So,
well, I blame Arteta for that, because they keep throwing the competitions away. Rich,
he's relied on, but I don't think it was. I mean, I looked at it a few years ago, and I couldn't see another top player in European football who played more football than Bernardo. It's just amazing. Every time we change the team around, Pep has Bernardo in there, so because he's the glue, and it's why I think Bernardo does not get the recognition from City fans he deserves, because we always talk about the greats, De Bruyne, Silva, Gundogan up there, Bernardo's up there with them. He's just he's the
sort of player that other clubs would build their club around. But then because he was surrounded by so much quality at the City squad, you kind of forget that in a way, we kind of built the squad around him in a way as well too.
Well, and he's the player who you'll find, unlike any of those other players, Bernardo's the one you'll see between the centre-backs or helping out Kuznov when Kuznov had his mare against Chelsea. Bernardo actually moved his position back to protect him a bit defensively and talk to him. And he coached Kuznov back into that game, protected him. I think we saw Kuznov start to get a bit of confidence and look good after that. And I think that was all down to Bernardo and the way he took leadership of that. And I think we'll miss Bernardo probably more than when some of the others have retired, because, we all love De Bruyne. De Bruyne's one of the greatest ever, but he hasn't been that good for 2 years. So when everyone said, we're going to really miss De Bruyne, I don't know that we are going to really miss De Bruyne, because I think in 2024 we really missed De Bruyne. But I think we'd already seen him dip. Whereas I think Bernardo, is going to go out, at the top of his game if he goes this year. And I think we'll miss him, because there's no one else who can do what he does all over with the brains, the shithousery, the leadership. No one else in our squad does that.
I think the work rate he's done, and it's like KDB. Like in the end, when you're getting on, the legs will go. Like it just happens, doesn't it? Like his energy is unbelievable, but in the end, them legs are going to go. Like KDB at that season, he was leggy, wasn't he? I know they had to do more work, but
and maybe that's Bernardo came off after not much over an hour, and maybe that's the thing. Go out, run your heart out for an hour, but we know you can't do that for 100 minutes now. So we'd rather have him flat out for 60 minutes and then bring someone else on than have him playing. You'd rather
playing for 10 matches at 60 minutes each than play 5 matches at 90 minutes and run the risk of getting burnt out or injured.
Yeah, and I've always wondered.
Bernardo would be great in the cup games.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and and
top six and matches against top six.
Yeah,
it's an interesting.
Because you need that sort of player in there. Yeah,
an interesting thought in football. And you've, I'm sure you both played football a bit, but in most other sports, they've moved, especially sports like rugby and rugby league, where players build their bodies and the way they play to only play for 50 minutes. So they go into the game intending to use 19 players or in rugby union 22 players, in rugby league to use 17 players, and they don't expect many of the players to play for the full 80 minutes. They're all trained. I've often wondered why in football, you know, given all the things people try and everything, why in football they haven't, you know, gone for, you know, set up two wingers and just have, you know, one training with pace and power and everything to play for 45 minutes, and then at halftime bring someone else on, train to pace and power to play for 45 minutes, and you know, change things up a bit, because it's changed other sports, and football is the one sport that has never truly figured out how to use the bench properly, how to, you know, use the bench, you know, in a more deliberative, proactive way, as opposed to just making subs, you know, when someone's not playing well, or if you're losing, to change the game. And I'm surprised, because I'm sure there would be, and I'm sure there's some great minds probably who've thought about it and working it out. But I'm surprised that, you know, Thomas Frank or Brighton or someone haven't actually tried to figure out a way to do that, so you can play faster and more intensely, but you know that certain players are going to be burnt out 10 minutes into the second half, and then you flip and bring, you know, other players on, knowing they're only going to play 40 minutes.
So let me ask you this then, Rich. If you were Infantino and you had the chance at FIFA to change the rule, would you allow substitutions like we do in our Sunday leagues, like you do in rugby league, like you do in rugby union? Would you allow continuous substitutions if it meant they had to cut the bench in half? So what's the usual bench? About 7 players? If they allowed 4 players on a bench, would you allow constant substitution? Or constant substitution, but like NRL, like the rugby league, you're allowed up to a maximum of, say, like a dozen in a game?
Yeah. I'm not actually thinking of constant. I'm more thinking about, you know, permanent substitution, but because constant substitution, you know, makes it much harder for coaches to really coach the team on the way they're going to play and everything. But if you actually set up a team saying, this is what we're going to do for the first hour, and then, you know, we're going to bring off 3 forwards and bring on 3 new forwards to give the opposition defence a completely different problem against fresh players, you know, after an hour, I think that would be something worth trying. But I'm okay with the rule as it is. You know, five subs and 6 if you've got a head injury. But I'm just thinking about being more proactive in how you use those subs. And with big squads, long seasons, I think it helps keep players fresh and uninjured.
I think different codes like rugby, like when more so the forwards coming off, and then the sports science, I don't know if it's different, but they never seem to get hammies or anything when they do come back on. I know they're warming up on the side, but do you know what I mean? Like they never seem to get injuries at forwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed the game because there's now, you know, I mean, I watch most sports, but when I watched rugby as a kid, a massive player was 100 kilos because they had to play 80 minutes. So you had to be built so you could run it. Now there's 150 kilo players, but they are intended to play half a game and 5 minutes after.
Be like NFL.
Yeah, like Will Skelton. Yeah. You know, he can't play 80 minutes. He can just about manage about 45, 50, but the impact he can have. And I just wonder whether, you know, whether there's going to be a change in the game where players can be built for slightly more strength and pace and slightly less stamina, with the intent that you bring this player, you know. I think that's how Doku has his impact. I think Doku drifts out of games over 80, 90 minutes, but when he comes on with half an hour to go, he has, it's frightening.
Well, that's regardless of the scoreline, because he destroys.
That's right.
Tired defenders.
You're a tired leggy defender, and you've got the fastest player in the world off the mark, which Doku is. There's no one who goes from standing to moving faster than him. He's brilliant, but it's almost like he's too tired to do that when he started the game, and they can cope with him in the first half. So I don't know. I mean, whether he wants to be an impact sub, but I'd be bringing Doku on at the hour every game if I had my way, but I wouldn't be starting him. Whether he'd cope with that, I don't know.
Doku's my final 30 minute man.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But he got a lot of goals and assists towards the end of the season that got us into the Champions League. He had a real impact, but it was that hour, because no defender can cope with his pace and his explosiveness.
Against Wolves, he had that one glimpse. He took the player on and he got the cross in. He looked up and got the cross in. I think he did it twice. And that was it.
And one of them, about 5 minutes in, was a beautiful cross. There should have been someone on the end of it. It was right across the box, good height. Yeah, and no one was there.
And I thought someone had a chat to him, you know what I mean? He's changing his game, but it didn't happen for long. But there you go.
No, what he did do, though, I mean, one thing, to be fair, he was double teamed, and there's no doubt that him having two on him created space on the other side of the pitch. I think Bob got space because Doku had dragged their whole team to the right, and that gave Bob a bit more space, and it gave Reinders some space in the middle as well. So
that's why I'm with Pat. I'd bring him on, like you said, after half an hour impact when the defenders are knackered.
Yeah. And the other one that was a real different thing, I don't know if you noticed it, but Haaland played very differently. Haaland, all last season, what if you kept your eye on Haaland, he was just permanently fighting a centre-back. And I don't remember against Wolves him fighting a centre-back barely at all. He was wandering. Yeah. He was wandering 10 yards offside, and he was hanging around 10 yards offside, and then coming back to get himself onside. But the defenders were leaving him because if they go back and follow him, they're bringing the whole back line back 10 yards. So he was doing some different things. Yeah. And he seemed to have a lot more space because he wasn't just sitting there scrapping the centre back.
So what gets me with Haaland?
More games.
What gets me with Haaland is very, very rarely offside. Never offside.
Yeah.
I think, and I'll probably count on one hand, he's been offside since he started with us. He's brilliant that way.
Yeah.
But then you get the likes of when you had Sterling and Mahrez, they were always offside.
Yeah.
No,
he's got
Haaland's great.
He has got a sixth sense. He's really got a sixth sense about that. He just seems to know. But I love that, going off 10 yards offside, and then he's running. He's waiting till the moment he thinks we're going to be in a position to pass, and he's back on side half a second before the pass is going to come. So the opposition defence is not set with him because they can't. But he's 10 yards offside. They're not going to follow him. So that's giving him that space. So I think watch Haaland, because I think he's learned a few new tricks from the Club World Cup and probably being fit and feeling fitter, stronger, and more confident.
I
think
Reinders might push him for goals this year, the way he's going. I know it's only one game, but
Yeah, well,
it's going to be up there.
I had a bet on Marmouche at about 150 to 1 to be top scorer. So,
gee, that's a good bet. That's good.
But only if Haaland gets injured.
True.
My Haaland injury insurance. But
as the season goes, we don't know. Marmouche might play the 10 more. You just don't know behind him. You don't know.
Yeah, I think
depends like Pep on different games.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of fluidity. Because I think you've got a lot of players like Cherky, Foden, Marmouche, who can really play different positions. So maybe they'll be behind Haaland and they'll be swapping and changing.
Yeah, that's right. It's a long season. We can't play everyone at once. So it's a long season. So everyone has to take the turn.
Yeah. And a lot of attacking talent there. A lot of attacking talent.
Yeah.
The most we've probably had since probably the centenary season, almost, to have that level of, back to having, 6-7 players for potentially 3, maybe 4 spots, all of whom we want to play. So that's going to be exciting.
No, it's going to be good. I can't wait. Is there any news on Phillips at all, Pat?
I did hear whispers about possibly getting a loan out to Girona, which I think, to be honest, getting away from England, I think for him would be great for his career. But that's all I've heard so far, and I don't know if it's just paper talk or that's the word going around on social media. But that's that seems to be another thing I've heard. I know Leeds were interested, and they were interested in actually making a permanent transfer. Problem is for them, they don't want to take on that 150K a week salary. Now, I think we're just going to loan him for one more season, because if Leeds stay up, then I think they'll be in more of a position to take on the remainder of that salary.
I think we, I hope we do the right thing by him. I mean, it just didn't work out. I don't have any animosity against. I don't have any animosity against him or his attitude. I just think he wasn't the right player for Pep, and from almost immediately Pep made his mind up. So how hard he worked or whatever else didn't really matter. So I because Leeds aren't a threat to us, I'd almost like to see him back at Leeds playing football, smiling again, and having a good swan song to his career, because I like Phillips, and it's sad to see what's happened. And
do you think it was too much of a step up?
Yeah, I think Pep was maybe totally dazzled by Bielsa, and
Bielsa sold him a dream.
Yeah, and then for whatever reason, Phillips just didn't have the quality and the mental ability to play the role Pep doesn't. You got to remember, it's the hardest position for Pep. Pep was a 6, and he so therefore, and he won some of the biggest things in football as a 6. So it's probably the one position you're on a hiding to nothing if you can't nail it.
That's right.
Because Pep's frustration will be twice as much with a 6 as any other position. So let's hope. I mean, Girona's probably our deadline day way of dealing with the situation if nothing else happens. But hopefully Leeds come in for him and give him a chance. And honestly, for Leeds, give him a chance at centre back for now, because I think his career might well be being a centre back more than a holding midfield.
Well, he's not got the pace, so has he?
Yeah, but maybe not. But I think he's. I thought he might have had a chance at City at centre back a couple of years ago when he was in the squad, not getting any time in midfield. But we didn't even trust him there.
I think he's slower than Diaz, to be honest.
I also noticed Kalvin had his shirt number changed to 44 as well. So for me, that just screamed of, he's definitely going on loan somewhere soon. So, but just wanted to shout out everybody in the chat. We just had a raid from LB, so the numbers have just gone absolutely through the roof. If you're passing through, obviously, just give us a like. Don't forget to subscribe as well if you're new. So big up to everybody. Big up to everybody who's been involved with the chat. I know, Kathy, you've been very busy on there with your thoughts. Always appreciated. Mark, Edison, Donnarumma, the clash. Should I stay? Should I go? What the hell's going on? What are your thoughts? Where do you stand with this whole goalkeeping hierarchy?
Well,
what do you think? What do you think? What do you want? What do you see? What do you expect?
Oh, it's not the club. It must be Edison turned. His head's turned. He wants to go, I think. It's not the club. So, I mean, if he wants to go, get the deal done. Get Donnarumma in. I mean, it is a stitch up for Trafford, because he's not going to sit on the bench if he does come. So it's one of them things. You just move on. If Edison wants to go, he goes. It's just another player. Do you know what I mean? I mean, he's been great for us. Great servant. Can't knock it. Probably one of the best, even maybe the best we've had. Change the way we played. Do you know what I mean? Donnarumma won't be able to do what he can do. But Trafford looks good. He's confident. He's doing that job. But
I think you're right.
I'm all for it. Edison, if he wants to go, let him go. But they're chalk and cheese, aren't they? It's Trafford and Donnarumma, like chalk and cheese. I don't know. But 2 good keepers.
It's a very different dynamic from what Pep always wanted to have, though.
Yeah.
You know, so many years of all the security with Edison, where it was like, yes, we were willing to compromise the shot stopping for someone who is basically a midfielder with gloves on. Now all of a sudden you've gone for the complete opposite. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Donnarumma, hell of a shot stopper. You know, the way he performed for PSG last season was on a level with what Courtois did at Madrid over the last few years. But you're just taking away so much of that ball playing ability, you know, at the back, that extra body in the defensive line, basically, you know, to move the ball around. So I just wonder, like, what are Pep's intentions in terms of such a drastic change in the dynamic of your goalkeeping dynamic in a way?
It's a
you know,
mystery.
because you're going from so much experience with ball playing centre backs to, yes, Trafford is good with his feet, but it's completely different because you're basically bringing, you know, you're bringing back a 20-year-old keeper, and then all of a sudden his most direct competitor is recently treble winning goalkeeper who does nothing with his feet. He's fantastic with his hands. It seems bizarre. It seems bizarre, and it's almost like the club kind of. It's like Pep and the club are contradicting themselves on what their philosophy is or was of what they wanted for a goalkeeper in the squad.
Football changes, and the other thing is, you know, you look at that and you think, if we were playing with Diaz and Akanji, that might be quite a scary prospect, having Donnarumma, Diaz and Akanji. But if you've got Donnarumma and you've got Gvardiol and Stones, you might be thinking that's quite a different, because our uplift in the ball playing at centre-back, if Gvardiol and Stones were playing versus Diaz and Akanji, most common partnership last year, is worlds apart. And I'd say Donnarumma, Stones and Gvardiol is probably better than Edison, Akanji and Diaz. So you've got to remember there's more than just the player. And I think going back to what you said, Mark, about Edison is up there with, you know, I can't say I saw Swift or Troutman. I certainly saw Joe Corrigan in his later years.
Big Joe.
But Edison's, you know, Edison is going to be up there with Big Joe and Joe Hart, not that far behind. I think we forget how good Joe Hart was. You know, in the pantheon of great City keepers, you know, Edison will be up there. Edison, Hart, Big Joe, you know, Bert Troutman, Frank Swift. You know,
I'll always remember Joe Hart for that
over a very long time.
Yeah. I'll always remember Joe Hart for that game against Jurgen Klopp's Dortmund. If we didn't have Joe Hart in goal, we probably would have lost that game like 7-1. He was unbelievable that day.
Yeah, and that's probably the best performance by a City keeper I've seen. You know, although
I think going back to Donnarumma, I think going back to Donnarumma, I think it's going to be so. If he does come and does, I think it's so important, the two centre backs in front of him, because I think they're going to end up playing the ball out, not him. I can't see him playing the ball out. We know he's not good with his feet, so I think them two centre backs are going to be so important in front of him, whoever it's going to be.
Yeah.
There you go, gentlemen. There's one for you. Peter said Harry Dowd.
Yeah. Bit before my time, but
well before.
But, you know,
no, it wasn't.
But I did see some of the PSG games against Arsenal and Liverpool, and Donnarumma won them the Champions League. They should have lost to Arsenal and Liverpool, and he was absolutely unbelievable. And whilst in the final, it was that exceptional attacking performance that won it, the truth is they got there because of Donnarumma keeping Arsenal and Liverpool out almost in impossible ways at times. Yeah. And I think, you know,
sorry, Mark, before you say it, I was going to say Donnarumma is a perfect example, because you look at the last, say, 4 or 5 years, the Champions League's always been won by the team that has the most informed keeper.
But a good keeper always it's half the battle when you've got a good defence in front of you.
Yeah.
Remember that? Michael always said that.
Yeah.
You know, he always said good defence, it's half the battle.
Oh, makes his job easier any day of the week.
You know. But there you go. I mean, Donnarumma's done it. Do you know what I mean? He's been there, so we'll just wait and see, won't we? What's going to happen?
Yeah, and I think, you know, we worry about the feet thing, but the truth is, if Pep, you know, is behind the move, then he will have overthought this problem 1,000 times. He's probably sat up, late at night on a wall next to his bed, drawing 1,000 different plans of why bringing in Donnarumma changes things. So we're not going to make that move blind. I mean, I like the idea of Ederson staying and Trafford getting a year number 2. But if Ederson decides he wants to go, I mean, I think we blew it with Ederson, because I think when we didn't renew him and give him a contract anything close to what he wanted, and we kept him, being paid. I mean, I know for the rest of us it's massive money, but he was being paid, 2/3 of what Alisson was being paid, and other Premier League keepers from what he'd done. I think he probably. I can understand why he was a bit hurt by the club and a bit upset, and so I think he's, for someone who's so bloody calm during matches, I think he's probably quite emotional in a way off it, and I think for whatever's happened between him and the club, he's mentally just wasn't quite there last year. It's almost like the club's done me wrong. I'm not 100%. I'm 95%. I'm 90%, and that shows in the Premier League. So if he wants to go, he's got to go. And if we're really asking 25 million for him, I reckon that's we're not doing the right thing by him. For all he's done for us. If we're asking the same as Paris want for Donnarumma when he's 25 and he's just won the treble, and we're asking the same for Ederson, who's 32 and out of form, I don't know whether we're doing a Daniel Levy or what.
Do you think the club's a bit skimpy or not giving him a raise, like giving him what he wants?
Yeah, I don't get it why we didn't. It's too late now, I think, but I don't get why 2 years ago we didn't give him a 180,000 or whatever it was a week contract, because he was the first name on the team sheet.
Maybe they 5
years.
Yeah, I think maybe they did. I mean, there were so many players that had renewed contracts or received huge bonuses from winning the treble. And I wonder if they've offered something, but I personally think that Edison's the sort of player where he makes it out. He makes it out if his heart's not in something. And I think that after winning that treble and after spending so many years at that club and failing so many times at getting that Champions League, the fact that he finally got it, I don't want to say I'm an excellent judge of character, but I just get this sense with him that it was like, I've done everything I can at this club. I need a new challenge. Where do I go from here? I need something else. I need something else. I mean, there's also the thing with Edison, though, is that we can wake up tomorrow and find out he's changed his mind, and we've given him a contract and he's on double wages and he wants to stay for another 5-10 years.
Yeah,
that's just that's the person he is. Yeah.
I felt. But you can't tell with him because, like Rich said, he's so calm. His mannerisms, it's like he's so lethargic. You don't know, do you, with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
sorry, Rich, you were saying, mate. Sorry.
I felt he was slighted by the club. And that, and you don't know agent talk and stuff, but the talk seemed to be that we were offering, not much more than half of what he thought he was fairly entitled to for what he'd been. And he was the first. I know the goalkeeper's always the first name on the team sheet, but he was the first name on the team sheet for years. Any other player in the team could potentially not play. And Edison changed. Edison, was as important as any player in the way Pep got us to play football. And in the Centurion season, it was Edison who was the catalyst for the change in our team. He changed the way we played. He did what Bravo was trying to do, but he did it levels ahead. And when people worry about Trafford, Trafford's played 50, 100 more games than Edison had when he signed for us. And he's the same age as Edison was when he signed for us. So, people said, we can't trust Trafford. He doesn't have the experience. He does.
Yeah, he does.
And I'm not saying...
And he did it in a league that's probably more cutthroat. He did it in a league that's probably more cutthroat than the Premier League.
Yeah.
More demanding.
Edison had 1 year in Portugal, hadn't he? Yeah, he'd had 1 year in Portugal, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
And Trafford has got tremendous experience for a player of his age. He's had, 4 or 5 seasons of league football under his belt. It's over 150 league starts I think Trafford's had. Now some of them were Accrington and Bolton and stuff, but I think people underestimate his experience for his age.
Yeah, I think the one thing with Edison, I wish Pep would have loved to let him take a penalty, but that was never going to happen.
Well, he did in shootouts, but yeah, I know. It's just you can't take that risk if he misses it, and then.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but he's supposed to be the best penalty taker in the club.
Oh yeah. Do you know who I always thought should have taken more penalties? Because when you see him live, he's got an absolute rocket of a foot on him. Was Laporte. Laporte had like an Alex Kolarov sort of left foot on him. He absolutely rifled. Yeah. When he hit the ball, he rifled it.
Yeah,
he was an emotional player though. Laporte was really emotional, and the best penalty. I mean, the penalty takers who were by far our best players were, in terms of penalties, were Yaya and Balotelli.
But, Balotelli was just automatic.
But there was absolutely no self-doubt or anything in those two. I mean, it's one of their problems at the club was they had so little self-doubt and self-awareness. It led to them both kind of, falling out with some fans and going. But those two just walked up and they just had zero doubt they'd miss, and they never did.
It always gets me with Laporte playing for Spain. I never get that, but that's another story, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a weird situation, wasn't it? Where it was when he was at France, where it was like, because they said because he could play for Spain, they said the team that he plays for don't want him, and the team that he wants to play for can't have him, or something like that. But he obviously was allowed to change his allegiances at some point, and it worked out. I know there has been a lot of rumours that Laporte's trying to go back home to Bilbao, but apparently it's sort of the negotiations are sort of breaking down at the moment.
He was such a good player. I was a huge Laporte fan. I thought he had a year or 2 or 3 left at City when he went. I thought it was too soon. I know he wanted to go and he wanted to start every game, but his crossfield balls to Bernardo were incredible, and
he had the arrogance as well.
Yeah, and he just pinged 60-yard balls, and Bernardo would just bring it down like that, and it was just like I wish we'd seen a bit more of Laporte to Mahrez as well, because when Mahrez, that was incredible. But he's a very wealthy man. He can probably own half of Bilbao now. The money he's made when he's been away. But he was a funny character. You see the documentary on him and everything else, and the whole thing with Deschamps. He's obviously a difficult personality to get along with. Yeah. But
some of his interactions on social media were really amusing as well.
Yeah. He had like a really sarcastic, the sort of sense of humour you think of being a bit British, really Northern British, sarcastic and all that. And he had that real dry sense of humour, which was quite hilarious at times.
I don't know.
Yeah. What else was there? We obviously talked about Edison possibly going to Turkey. Manuel Kanji seems to be something that the club are willing to listen to negotiations with Galatasaray about possibly a move there. I don't know, you guys. What do you think? Is it?
Are we still one over?
Assuming that if Ortega goes and Echeverry Rice go, I think we're 1 over. So I still think we need one, which is why if Edison, we'd need Edison to go to get Donnarumma in, and I think we're 1 over. I mean, I think Pep made his substitutes on Saturday to, send a message. I think, the fact that in that game it was Kuzanov who came on, and it was, O'Reilly, not Gundogan, who came on. I think Pep was making a bit of a point, and possibly to Gundogan and Akanji that you're not going to come on at Wolves, and we've already got Rodri, Gvardiol, Foden who are ahead of you.
Could be the start of it, yeah.
So I think that's probably a message, because Akanji and Ake both stayed on the bench for Kusanov to come on. You know, I like Ake staying because I think Ake is a brilliant left back, and I think we do need a left back. But you know, I think Akanji might well, you know, move, because if he's behind Kusanov, Diaz, Stones, Gvardiol, and Ake to play at centre back, he's not going to get much game time.
I prefer Ake to Akanji. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just Mr. Reliable. Always puts 7 out of 10 minimum performance in every game.
Yeah.
I prefer to keep Gundogan, because I think Gundogan, if he only has to play 25 games, he's a world-class player. He's got a brilliant brain. And if he's playing with Reinders and Rodri, you've got legs. I don't think his legs will matter. So, and I've always thought he's a future coach at City. So for me, I'd be if one of those two's got to go, I'd rather Akanji go and we keep Gundogan. Because Gundogan's a good presence around the squad. I just don't want him starting, you know, 30 Premier League games. You know.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in the chat, I always said, you know, to keep Bernardo because he's our captain, and all the rest can go. Do you know what I mean? But Gundo is, I mean, he's come back. You know, I mean, they all do when they do come back. They look sharp and fit. You know,
he's lost weight from this time last year.
Yeah, and he's an important player. He can still do a job.
Yeah, and he's, you know, there's no reason, if you've got an exceptional, like anyone who says Gundo's too old to play is also saying Van Dijk's too old to play. You know, it's pretty much saying Mo Salah's too old to play. I think Gundo's too old to be a box-to-box number 8 and play 90 minutes three times in a week. But he's not too old. He's not too old to play, you know, a game.
Well, he had no choice last season, did we? Because of the injuries.
Yeah. To be honest, though, Gundo really kind of stopped being a box-to-box midfielder when we signed him, because all those injuries that he had in his the last years at Dortmund sort of stopped him from doing that. So, again, I've said this a million times before, why I love Gundogan is because the way he was able to reinvent himself as a player during his time here at City, and to become, you know, have such an incredible football brain, you know, because I think when the body starts playing tricks on you, I think you have to be a little bit more, a bit smarter in the way you play the game, and the way he does it is second to none, basically.
And it's sometimes the combination of players too. Like, you could play Bernardo, Gundo, and Kovacic in midfield together, and they'd be terrible because they haven't got the legs. But that's not because individually they're all terrible. It's because as a combination, you cannot go up against players like Baleba, you know, like Chelsea's midfield, like Villa's midfield, with 3 older, slower players who don't have the legs. But if you go up against that same team with Bernardo, Reinders and Rodri, or Gundogan, Gonzalez and Reinders, it's a totally different situation, because you've got that pace, you've got that energy, you've got that physicality, and then you've got the experience. So, you know, our problem last year was injuries forced us to play multiple, in inverted commas, unks at the same time. It wasn't that they individually were finished. No, it's that you can't play them all at the same time, especially when you've got 2 injured centre-backs behind them who can't run at more than about 80%. You know, because the amount of times we saw Diaz, Ake, you know, Akanji, Stones playing injured. And I remember one game, Ake couldn't even sprint, and he's on the pitch, and he daren't even go more than about 70% pace, because he knew his hammy was going the second he tried to run at full pelt. So keep a few around and just use them sparingly and not at the same time.
That's right. The long season.
Guys, we'll wrap it up in a few minutes anyway, but before we go, just might say who else is in the chat here as well. Kathy's just said, what do we think of the Men in Blazers video with Pep? Did anybody see that? There was some interesting quotes in there about saying he might stay a little bit longer than the 2 years. He may not. He also mentioned that he got rid of the moustache because his daughter saw it after about 5 days and said, get rid of that. So some of us were fans. Obviously, those nearest and dearest to him weren't fans of it. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but it looked like it was quite an interesting interview. So,
yeah.
I only saw
I think
quotes,
I
Kathy.
think
So
Pep will run
yeah.
his contract out myself, but I mean, it might only be 12 months. You just don't know the way it's going to go. But I reckon he'll run his contract out myself, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
But you know, I think it's been said in the chat, or someone said it. We don't want too many project players anymore, because I think Pep wants to go out on a high. I think he wants players here and now.
Yeah.
And he'll want to go out on a high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Hence why we're being linked to Rodrigo, because that's a right now player.
This is it. This is it. So,
yeah.
You know, I mean, if they buy back with Savinho, Pep might never even see him. You just don't know, do you? Depends.
No, we don't know.
We
don't know, but we've got to remember there's still the best part of 10 days of this window left, so a lot of things can change. But just quickly, Martin's just been resting at the moment. I think he had a bit of a busy night last night, just with things going on and that. So big up to everybody who's been a part of this this show for this evening as well, to Rich and Mark and the chat as well. I just needed to put in here too, I've just posted in the comments, Daps is... We Are the South Stand is on right now too. Now I don't know how to redirect off my phone, but I'll pop the link in for his show. So if anybody wants to go there after this, they can jump on there. So I'll do that shortly. But gentlemen, before we close, was there anything else you wanted to add as well?
No, well, it was a good start. Good start, first game, but going to be a test against Spurs. Good test.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's
onwards and upwards.
It's the perfect Aussie game, isn't it? We could go out to watch it in the pub with a few fellow Blues and
9:30 kickoff. Great.
Yeah. So Sydney Blues can get together. I'm not one for going out for 2 a.m. on a Monday morning kickoffs anymore. So it's one of the games I can go and catch up with a few people, hear a few stories. Sink a few. They better have Guinness there, Pat. That's my only condition.
Well, it's a Japanese pub, mate, so highly unlikely. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens anyway. But I might
have to run down to the Crow's Nest Hotel, neck a Guinness, come back, run back.
Yeah, that is a possibility. Yeah.
I'll be in a caravan park watching it anyway. So
yeah. I'll be
for a couple of days.
I'll try and get some photos and some footage of the evening as well here with the Sydney Blues. We can put it on Mancunian Way next week, because we are expecting our good friend and former City player Spencer Pryor to be in attendance as well too. So keep an eye out for that, guys. We do hope to get him on the show in the coming weeks as well too. So we'll look forward to get showing that to you as well. Mark, where can they find you if you want them to find you, mate?
I'm not on any channels. I'm just this is it. This is it, mate. Nah,
fair enough.
I don't have my own channel.
Yeah, Rich, where can they find you anywhere where Guinness is on tap?
Yeah,
Guinness or Kilkenny's, any of them, any pub.
Well,
doesn't matter.
I don't like Kilkenny's either, actually. Yeah, no. So it should be good fun Saturday night out with the Sydney Blues. See a few old faces. Sounds like a few old faces coming along, so that'll be good. And
funny enough with Rich, liking his Stones and Wood, but my drink was John Stones. It's bitter.
Yeah.
That was my drink.
I used to drink that a bit, actually. 12 cans for, was it $7.99 or something?
Yeah. That was my drink. Yeah.
All right, guys. Go. I think we'll leave it at that anyway. Mark, big up for being part of the show, mate. You are always welcome to come back on Blues Down Under.
Appreciate it. Brilliant.
We've always appreciated your two Bob and everything as well. Rich, what have you got to say?
It'd be good to get a few more.
Yes.
Down Under Aussie fans.
Yeah, we've got a few more expats we're hoping to line up for line up over the coming weeks as well too. So you'll see more new, fresh, slightly fresher faces. We'll see what happens, but until then, guys, in closing, what have we got coming up? I think Martin's got a call-in show a bit later on. That'll be Thursday morning, Wednesday night over in the UK for you guys. So keep an eye out for that if you want to be a part of the show. Stateside Blues, I believe, will be kicking off at around about... when do they usually do that, Rich? Is that usually on a Thursday morning for us?
Yeah, I
Something
think
like
it's the
that?
middle of the day Thursday for us.
Yeah, something along those lines. So keep an eye out for those two shows. And of course, Thursday night
No.
chat will be back. Should be around about 9, half 9, the usual time for that one, UK time as well. And of course, we'll be dissecting everything leading up to Spurs, and then of course there'll be a post match at some point at the end of this week. But until then, as I said, I can't redirect you to We Are the South Stand, but I have put the link in there for Daps's show. So please get over there and give him, tell him Mancunian tell him Mank Way Raid. Make sure you don't get that mixed up, otherwise you'll look like a right. Yeah. So in closing, guys, big up to everybody. Big thanks to Mark for being a part of the show. We look forward to seeing you again on Blues Down Under same time next week.
Yep.
And until then,
Brilliant.
always and forever, up the Blues. Go on, Setsi.
Up the Blues. Take care, lads.
See you guys.
Come on, Blues.
See ya.
See ya.